We've just got time to show you this. These have been seen on door handles around the conference. Please don't close the door on Europe. Let's talk to Pablo O'Hana from the European Movement. You believe that Brexit can't work, despite the efforts of the government, and the Labour Party also say it can work much, much better. In fact, you want a step-by-step approach to rejoin the EU. Listening and looking at those signs, would you like to see a closer relationship, first of all, briefly, Bridget, with Europe?
Yes, we need to fix the Brexit deal. Absolutely, and we do need a closer relationship. The European Union is an important trading partner.
Pamela, is that far enough?
It's not far enough, but it's a good step. Listen, this was a fun stunt to remind the Labour Party that we are here, that we are serious, that there are issues with Brexit that need to be fixed. It doesn't matter whether it's health, housing, security, trade, whatever it is being made worse by Brexit, and this is to remind the Labour Party that we're here. We would have been at the Lib Dems as well. We will be at the Greens, we'll be at the Conservatives. We're completely and strictly cross-party to make sure this debate stays alive. Right,
that's the debate staying alive, but can you try and persuade Bridget that actually Labour Party policy should change and they should be advocating a return to the single market?
It's very, very clear. Listen, we have just had polling back this week. Access to GPs and doctors is harder than ever since Brexit. It doesn't matter where it's housing. All of these issues are made worse by Brexit. And that's okay that the parties are behind the public. Political parties and politicians will always be behind the public. We know that the mood is shifting. We're going to help keep shifting it. And we're going to keep telling parties that they need to shift with us. That's okay, because the European Movement is the only organisation that has the courage to talk about Brexit at the moment. We are locked at the moment in the battle for the soul of this country. This is what Brexit is fundamentally about. It's changing our character. It still risks, Brexit still risks fundamentally and forever changing the character of this country. We are going to fight to stop that. We're going to keep making sure that we put pressure on all the parties, all the politicians. We're doing it constructively. We're not shouting from the outsides. We're in here.
Okay.
We're here to have this conversation
Are you
with
persuaded?
all the parties.
I'm afraid I'm not.
We've got time.
I hear the point, but I voted to remain. I really wanted us to stay in the European Union.
I know.
That didn't happen, and we've left. I think it really is a question of making it work as best we can.
Right.
But how can we make Brexit work? Are we going to say in 3 years' time, or we'll make the cost of living crisis work? Brexit hasn't worked. It's not going to work. It isn't working right now. People are losing jobs. Businesses are wrapped. I mean, actually, funny enough, these nearly didn't arrive. They got stuck at the border. We had to travel to Stansted. A member of our staff had to spend 8 hours trying to get them out of Stansted. That's the reality of Brexit.
Bridget?
So it's, I voted to remain, you voted to remain. The reality is it's not working.
Those are some of the kinds of issues that we do see at the border that do need sorting out. Yes, right. I do accept that.
Who's right?
I voted Remain as well, and we're in a very strong Remain city here in Liverpool, a city that has relied on the EU more than many. If you walk around many of the parts of the city centre, you'll see lots of plaques saying this was funded by the European Union.
But is it right for the Labour Party to make Brexit work, or to do what Pablo is saying, which is actually come back into the single market?
I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated by the Labour Party's position, but I also do understand that they don't want the next election to be about Brexit. I think that's what they're going to.
But they're going to do Conservative conference too. I think you've got Michael Heseltine talking to David.
Isn't he a Liberal Democrat now? It's interesting. I just really want to come back on the investment that the European Union did into the United Kingdom. Of course, for every single year that we were a member of the European Union, the UK was a net contributor to the EU budget. The money that the EU spent in the UK was British taxpayers' money that had been siphoned off and then came back.
Which wasn't happening from the government.
And sure, you can make the argument that British governments are bad and that no party ever elected would make the right decisions for Britain, and that you have to have people in another country making those decisions.
I think a lot of people in Liverpool feel that way about the funding. If you're losing £500 million to your council and the EU has to step in,
I think a lot of people here at this party conference would say that, for example, in 1997, the Blair government did a lot of investment itself, didn't have to rely on European commissioners to do that, targeted investment, and potentially people closer to where the money is spent can decide better.
How are you going to fill the gap of £1 million per hour that Brexit's costing us?
I mean, what a functionally ridiculous calculation.
That's government's own figures. That is ONS figures from the government, this government.
Because you cannot possibly work out what the counterfactual is. You don't know how much worse our economy would have been if our vaccine rollout was as slow as Europe's. If we were under the auspices of the European Medicines Agency,
but you do know that, of course,
and we
the
got
UK
our vaccines,
could have opted out and done their own vaccine. Whether they would have done, we won't know.
No European country did. In fact, they all followed that same procurement, and they came out of lockdown later and they lost money.
One of the things where Tom is, of course, correct is that there were parts of the UK that received large amounts of money over a number of years from the EU who voted to leave the European Union.
So, of course, and listen, the referendum was, I worked on the campaign. It was a tough time. We had a really tough campaign. But there are also areas like Northern Ireland which are being battered by Brexit. And there is a real issue with stability and peace in Northern Ireland. I lived there. I moved to Belfast. And my friends who were 18, 19 at the time, all they cared about was moving forward, bringing peace to the country, making sure that people wanted to visit Northern Ireland, that people felt comfortable coming to Belfast. In fact, I moved there, the weekend I moved there, one of my friends said to me, the fact that you have come to Northern Ireland from England shows that we are winning.
Pablo O'Hana, thank you very much. And thank you to all of our guests today for a lively end to the Labour Party conference programmes. Elizabeth Glinker will be back tomorrow with more Politics Live at 12:15 here on BBC Two and on the BBC iPlayer. Bye-bye.